There's $2.35 million for the Leahy Center in Vermont, named after Senator Patrick Leahy. Well, who requested it? Well, Patrick Leahy did. Who wrote the bill? Patrick Leahy.
Political response.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. This is Legitical Response, a little show I put together to kind of highlight some of the inner workings of the government, stuff we don't get to see all the time, to kind of show what the politicians are doing for us, or more general, what they not doing for us. Because most of these career politicians in here, they don't have the people's interests at heart, and they could care less about the American people. Now, there are a handful of congressmen and a handful of senators that I do believe that are trying to do good. But this is part 2 of a 4-part series I got with Kevin McCarthy's speech to the Congress, the last one of 2022. Thank God this year's over with. Yeah, this year's been a terrible one. We've had inflation going out of control. A good thing, woke seems to be dying off. That's a good thing. We got the Twitter files coming out. It has really been a bombshell. That Twitter files, man. I don't think we can thank Elon Musk enough for putting all this stuff to light, because showing that the FBI was actually working with Twitter to cancel people, basically. And 96%, I believe they said it was, 96% of the voices that were silenced on Twitter were conservatives, were right-wing people. These aren't extremists. These are everyday people. You could say Donald Trump is an extremist, but he's not. You could say that some of these other people that were silenced were extremists, but they really weren't. They were just anti-establishment for the most part. I know Trump was very anti-establishment before he became president. Once he became president, you could tell a change happened. But he was still a whole lot less anti-establishment than he was before. But that's enough said. That's not what this show is. This show ain't about me rambling on, kind of like what I'm doing right now. This show is about showing what's going on inside the government. So let's get to it. Let's roll the clip.
Here are some of the worst parts of the omnibus. First, to state the obvious, the omnibus spends too much, increasing the deficit and fueling even more inflation. Now, the Democrats have been fired. They had 4 years. Let's just look at recent history. When Republicans had the majority in the House for 8 years, and you look at discretionary spending from the day we got the gavel to the day we had to hand it back, you know how much it increased? Zero. You've had it for 4 years before you got fired again. You know how much you increased discretionary spending? 1/3. Over $440 billion. You want to know why we have inflation, the highest it's been in 41 years? You won the majority, and you wasted it, and you spent too much, and you harmed the American public. The worst thing any government can do to its public is bring inflation. And that's exactly what you're continuing. This bill increases the baseline spending by $134 billion. Let me put it another way. The American hardworking taxpayer, you just added $1.5 trillion over 10 years to the national debt, when we're already drowning in $31 trillion in debt. I don't remember the people requesting that, but in your definition, that's what you did. And what kind of projects are such high priorities? You have to increase spending by so much. Well, some left-wing pet projects. Let's look for example of what the people really requested here. For example, there's $2.35 million for the Leahy Center in Vermont, named after Senator Patrick Leahy. Well, who requested it? Well, Patrick Leahy did. Who wrote the bill? Patrick Leahy. Meanwhile, Chairwoman Deloria bragged that the omnibus fulfills 98% of the Democratic members' requests in the House. That's $5.4 billion for 3,213 Democratic projects. Mr. Speaker, I'm not quite sure your definition of people. I guess it's those members that you're really looking after. That would be politics. Our economy is already in a dire condition, and passing this omnibus only supercharges that disaster. You know what? Inflation is higher today than it was 11 months ago when President Biden said it had peaked. Families are paying $400 more per month than they did a year ago. Why? Because you put them before your politics, as you say. They just didn't know that they really wanted to pay more. Last month, our deficit was nearly $250 billion. Another record you own, a record for the highest for the month of November. It was fueled by 55% increase in our interest payments. Why? Because you own the majority, the House, the Senate, and the presidency. That's what you brought the American public. Meanwhile, personal credit card debt exploded by almost $400 billion in the third quarter. That's another record you own for the third quarter. Inflation is the economy's number one problem. The Federal Reserve continues to raise the rate. Why? Because you took the majority. It's raising rates, and you still don't get it. But Democrats want this bill to put more pressure on the working family, because you know better than the working family, apparently. Americans have had enough. That's why, again, millions voted to fire the Democrats on this one-party rule.
Yeah, so there you have it. That's the next Speaker of the House. Man, I really hope he believes what he's saying right here, and I hope he's not blowing steam up people's ass, because it's just going to disappoint more. And if you're still here in the video, share this, because I want people to see this speech, especially people that vote for Kevin McCarthy. I don't know what district he represents, but if you know somebody that lives in his district, share this with them, and let's put this to the test right now. Let's just see if he does what he says he's going to do, because he sure is talking a good game right now, but I don't know if he can back that up, because he's another one of those career politicians I like to shit on, for lack of a better word. But he sure does sound like he's talking a good game right now. Like I said, I sure hope he follows through on it. And I know they're going to be doing some investigating. Thank God. You know, when they first announced all that investigating they was going to be doing, I was kind of against it. Like, nah, man, we need to fix the economy. But now that the Twitter files have come out, yeah, let's go ahead and get these investigations rolling, because God, man, that was a bombshell. And if you haven't seen the Twitter files, look it up. Go check it out. It'll blow your mind. The FBI was all in your shit and you didn't even know it. It's just crazy, folks. Crazy, I'm telling you. But I ain't gonna hang around too much. That's all I got for this one, y'all. Thanks for watching. Be positive. Peace.